Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you could join us today. I hope you are having a wonderful day. If it is a character building day, I will make it as awesome as it should be. You are listening to the Motivation Monday Power Hour. I am your host, Motivated Mike. Today's topic is happiness. Let me just say, this show wasn't intended to cure serious depression. If you are extremely depressed, so much so that you can't find the energy to do anything at all, please seek professional help. This show is intended for those who may be depressed but still functional. Those whose life is at maybe a 4 or 6 out of 10 instead of maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10. So, why are we unhappy? Because we take too seriously what God has made for fun. This is a bit of a Zen Buddhist philosophy. And it's an interesting one, though. What are we forgetting? I assure you it's an obvious question and an obvious answer. What are you forgetting? We are forgetting who we are. We are not some just puppet that life pushes around. We are the entire show. We aren't just the wave in the ocean, but the entire ocean. You might say, but I can't control everything around me. I can't control my life and what happens to me. But you can subconsciously, without even thinking, you can control your heartbeat. It still beats on. Are you responsible for your heartbeat? Remember, life is a game. Don't take it too seriously. The mystery of life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. You can create your own happiness. You can control your attitude. You can have a winning attitude. You can control your feelings as well. And you can convince yourself to feel great. And you can change your attitude instantly. You just have to ask the right questions. What are you proud of? Why are you proud of these things? The same you can ask about your life. How happy am I? Why am I this happy about life? By focusing on the positive, you can always make yourself feel better. I want you to try smiling in the mirror for 5 minutes this week. Just anytime. Just stare at yourself and smile for 5 minutes in the mirror. You will feel happier. Smile at everyone you meet. They will feel happier as well. I want to tell a story that I've heard a while ago. It was a story by a Buddhist monk named I'm probably going to butcher this name, Ahan Baharm. And his story, when he was building a monastery, he had to lay these bricks. He tried so much time and energy trying to get the bricks leveled, making sure that each one was perfect, and the next one after that was perfect, and every single brick on the wall had to be perfect. And he took great pride in his work. He kept setting up these bricks one right after the other. He spent days trying to set up these bricks, trying to get them absolutely level. When he would have one that's slightly crooked, he would take the brick off, he would reset it, put it back on, make sure that it was totally leveled. It had to be great. But you know what happened after he finished the first wall of his monastery? He noticed that 2 of the bricks were a little bit crooked. Just these 2. And he felt so subconscious about these bricks. That's all he noticed was just these 2 bricks. And he asked, can I redo the wall? Is there money to knock down this wall and rebuild this wall so it may be perfect? But in reality, they didn't have enough money to rebuild this wall. It had to stay, even though 2 bricks were crooked. But you know what happened? Eventually, after a while, when he was showing everybody this monastery, and he was showing everybody how beautiful it was and how wonderful it was, and trying to avoid those 2 bricks, eventually somebody did notice the 2 bricks. But this person, what he told him when he was getting the tour of this monastery was how beautiful it was, how wonderful all the bricks had been laid. He didn't even notice the two that were crooked. Instead, he focused on the positives, on the thousands of bricks that were laid absolutely perfectly. Now, of course, the monk, he said, "What are you talking about? These two bricks are off. Look at this. This is terrible." But this man taking the tour looked at it and said, "You know what we call that in the construction industry? We call mistakes features." They're not mistakes. They are features. And the same can be said about your life as well. Any mistakes that you make, they're okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But you have to look at the positive. Look at the thousands of bricks that you laid perfectly. Look at the features that you have created and not the bad. So that's a little story. Desiring perfection can lead us to frustrations. And that's really a thing that we have to realize, that nobody is perfect. We're all going to make mistakes in life, and that's okay. That's the price it takes to learn how to be better. If we don't take risks, we don't grow. If we don't grow, well, we don't have any opportunities in life. We can't become happy. We can't become satisfied. We'll never reach the next level and become the best we can be, and we'll never be happy. But if we focus on the positive, we will be happy. We are never happy with all that is right. Sometimes we got to slow down in life and just take a moment to appreciate all the great things in life. The art, I know that I used to be a painter, so I like the art and beauty in life. When I used to paint, I wasn't the perfect painter. I made some mistakes. But you know what happened? When I focused on the mistakes and trying to fix the mistakes in my paintings, they always became bigger and more noticeable. I kept making the mistakes worse instead of focusing on the rest of the painting that was just absolutely marvelous, absolutely amazing. It is best to not focus on the bad. We must focus on the good. And if we did make mistakes in the past, we must let go of the past so that we can grow. We become happy because we allow ourselves to be. Is life really worth ending over a few imperfections? Call these imperfections features that are worthy of love. There is meaning to that love, and that is the meaning that we should give to our mistakes. And every day is a gift from God. Every day is a miracle. I have a quote back here from Zig Ziglar. "This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." Now that doesn't say he will be, he's okay with this day. No, he is glad in this day. He rejoices in this day. And I feel like a lot of us, we just take this for granted. If we ask our friends, "Hey, how have you been?" They'll say, "Oh, I've been all right. I've been okay. Things are going all right, I guess." No, you got to be happy with this day. You have to be as joyful as you can be. You got to appreciate the moment that you're in. Now, a lot of people, they tried to get away by being negative. They like to say, "Oh, but I just live in reality." This is just a poor excuse. These people, these negative people. Now, I live in reality too. I am as real as it gets, and I expect a miracle every day. Not just some days, but every day. And some people, they might say, their day is terrible. They haven't finished it yet even. What are they doing? You know what they're doing? They're telling the truth in advance. If you think your day is going to be terrible, it is going to be terrible. But if you think that your day is going to be great, you're more likely than not going to have a great day. There was a quote a while ago. It was the man who believes that he can and the man who believes that he can't are both usually right. Now that quote was said by Confucius. It was said by, I believe it was Henry Ford as well. I've found several sources for this quote. But it's still a very beautiful quote. It still has the meaning to it. And projections become our reality. Thoughts become what we are, who we are, and what we do. So definitely try and focus on the good in life. Don't be one of the realists who say, "Oh, life is terrible." No, be one of the realists who expects a miracle every day. And also, be free from fears. Fears of change. Now another quote, "You have to have running water. You must let go of it and let it run. The same is true of life and of God." This quote is by Alan Watts. Really a great philosopher. And if you don't believe me that every day is a great day, if you don't believe it, if you disagree, try missing one of them. Now some other people, they have a fear of old age. I mean, sure, we all have this fear at maybe one point or another. We have a fear of getting old. We have a fear of just not being who we once were. But the truth is funnier than that. We are not limited by age. We are liberated by it. We continue to grow. And if you grow day by day, just imagine how much growth you'll see after maybe 40 years, maybe 50 years. You'll have a lot of growth when that day comes. I also would like to talk about gold mining for a bit. Now, a good gold miner, what does he bring to the company? I'll tell you, he brings gold. Now, a bad miner, what does he bring? He brings dirt and waste. Now, when you remember the past, what do you bring with you? When you have these memories of who you once were and how life was, do you bring golden moments and golden memories? Or do you bring the bad experiences back from the past with you? Does a mining engineer bring home the waste or the gold? And here's another point. What makes the ore body that we mine? The good. It's the gold. That is what we're going after. That is what makes the whole project worth it. The small amount of gold is what outweighs the bad. We must collect and cherish the good, the gold, and just appreciate it for what it is. We can't change the past no matter what happens, but we can always learn from it. And at mines, I know it's a very stressful school. And last year I remember the report that said there were a lot of antidepressants in the Mines Park water supply. Let me just tell you, stress is terrible for our health. Science suggests it is bad for us physically. And there are a lot of papers that you can read on this about being stressed can help cause this and this disease. Being stressed makes us more likely to become ill. It's all over the place. It decreases the performance of our immune systems. We become more likely to get sick, to catch these colds. And positive thinking is the cure. It makes us healthier, not only mentally, but it also makes us healthier physically. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the term the placebo effect of the drug, right? So in testing medicine, they have to get a third group that will test a fake medicine just to try and make sure that the actual drug is doing its thing. But you know what happens? Both of the groups that took this medicine, the fake drug and the real drug, they both get better because of the placebo effect. You ask them how they think they are, and they say, "Oh, I'm wonderful. I feel amazing." But it's really just their mind. If you can fool your mind with a fake drug, you can fool your mind to being happier and to focus on the positive and how alive and how great you feel. Let's talk about some more about gold mining. As a mining engineer, it's one of my favorite topics. Now, large gold mines at some companies are based on parts per million of gold. They are looking for very, very small quantities of gold in these very large mines. And these big mines, of course, they spend a lot of money. They get the permits, they have to buy the equipment, the trucks, the fleets, the explosives. They have to buy all of the stuff. They have to buy the offices, they have to employ the people, they have to get the water rights, they have to care about the reclamation after the project ends. All of this stuff. And do you see how much little gold that they're looking for? I don't think you realize how small a parts per million of gold actually is a measurement. If you take out a sheet of paper and you put a tiny dot on it with your pen, that is the gold out of every ton of ore that they are mining and processing. And that is what they're using to justify all of this expense. That is what makes them mine. That is what leads them to keep going. And now, wouldn't it be great if you could cherish the gold in your life so much that you could justify absolutely everything that you do, justify all the energy that you put into it, to achieving your goals, just by a small, tiny amount? Wouldn't it be great? And I guarantee you, the good things in your life aren't on a scale of parts per billion. There are a lot of great things in life. Maybe it's the family. Maybe you have a great family. Maybe it's the food that you eat. Maybe there's just a lot of really good food that gives you energy and keeps you feeling healthy. Maybe you're just free from sickness. Maybe you just feel on top of the world today just because your health is so great. There are a lot of things that we have to be thankful of. You gotta realize that and appreciate it, not just on Thanksgiving, but every day. You have to live in the present and appreciate the small things. Maybe it's walking to school in the morning and just how beautiful the trees are and the autumn leaves. Maybe you get to see that friend that you never saw today and you had a nice discussion. Since we're at mines, maybe it was about physics. I don't know. It doesn't matter, though. You got to take the good times and enjoy them. You can't take the good times for granted. And another thing that we do, sometimes we don't even realize it. We never allow for praise. Sometimes people might give us a compliment, and we're just like, no, that's not me. I don't deserve this compliment. And, man, that's so hard to do. Some people have great smiles. Some are great students. Some are great at their job. Some of them have found a gift that they can embrace in life. And they've found their gift and they do it so well. And I believe that God did not create a person that does not have a gift. All of us have gifts. And we must look for them and really get into them and appreciate the moment that we have and what we are able to do. And of course, there are going to be negative people no matter what you do. Some people are just negative. It's just who they are. And we are so quick to accept critics, but so slow to accept praise. This is ridiculous to me. Like just one bad comment, 10 seconds, could just ruin someone's day because they allow it to. Now, you know what I have to say about critics? I've seen statues of many great people, but I've never seen a statue of a critic. So that means their opinions can't be too terribly important. I mean, these critics, you can't let their negative comments get to you. Now, I read something interesting today. Did you know that Harry Potter, was rejected from publication 12 times before a publishing company was willing to publish it? Did you know that Walt Disney, I read this yesterday and I thought this was pretty ironic, he lost one of his first jobs for not having enough imagination. Think about that. The man who created Disney World, who has all the imagination and makes it happen, creates this pleasant experience, created Mickey Mouse. He got fired from one of his first jobs for not having enough imagination. So you just got to remember, critics, they're oftentimes wrong. Critics aren't what determines success. It's persistence. Success is talent and a little bit of luck. If you have both of those things, you will be successful. And if you keep pursuing something, you will eventually get that luck one day and have something work out that is absolutely amazing. And I hope it happens for you too. I'm not one of your critics. I'm rooting for whoever you are. So remember that. And we got to change the way we look at things. This involves replacing vocabulary. Now, a lot of us, we say, "How are you doing today?" "Oh, I'm okay, I guess." No, you're feeling great. You're feeling fantastic. You're feeling never better. When somebody asks you how your day is going, get in the habit of saying, "My day is amazing. Today I am unstoppable. Tomorrow I will be even better." Now, I used to think that the neighbor's grass was always greener. I just look over there and it would just be so much greener than mine. But you know why we see the neighbor's grass as greener? Because we don't see the neighbor's leaking septic tank. It is just spewing just absolute waste all over the yard, and that is why the grass looks greener, because it's well fertilized. Now, when you look at that, when you look at what your neighbor is going through, you'll see that maybe his grass isn't so green after all. Maybe his car, how is he paying for that car? Have you ever asked yourself those questions? You will see that eventually that grass isn't as great as the grass that you have. And the things that you have, you always put more value on than the things that you don't have. And that's true in science too. For example, we have a beach ball in the studio today. If I have that beach ball and somebody tried to buy it from me, it is scientifically proven that I will charge more for it than if my co-producer had it here and he tried to sell me it for the same price. It doesn't compare. If I own it, I might say, "I want $10 for this item." And if my co-producer is trying to sell it for $10, I'd be like, "What? Are you crazy? I'm not going to buy that. Get out of here. Go away with your crazy ideas." But just remember that, though. The things that you have, we must always place more value on them and not be so obsessed with the things that we don't have. Now, another great philosophy that I heard a while ago was to really put this grass into perspective, was to pretend your stuff isn't going to work. Like, let's say you have a laptop. Pretend it already won't work. That way you'll be so thrilled when it turns on. Pretend your car won't start up in the morning and just expect it. You'll be so thrilled when it turns on. Pretend, I don't know, that the beach ball is already popped. You'll be so thrilled that it's not, that it's still in one piece. You'll be so happy if you realize this. If you don't expect the items, but they are there and they work anyway, you will easily become much happier. And stick with positive people. Now, you know what my old saying is, birds of a feather flock together. If you're around negative people, you will become a negative person. It won't take any effort. Their habits will sink into you, and you will become negative. You'll be one of the people that is calling reality and saying, Everything is terrible. But remember, you can be as real as it gets and expect a miracle absolutely every day. But I know that this is a pretty touchy topic. A lot of us have great friends who are negative, and yes, maybe some of them go through depression every now and then. It's a normal thing. Everybody has gone through depression at least once, I'd say. I don't know. Maybe there are a few people who haven't. Good for them. But if you have negative friends and you want to change them, this can be very difficult. But I have a few tips here on how to solve that. First, just watch and listen without judgment. They'll just pour out their emotion, their energy. And when they do that, when they give you their negativity, I want you to replace it with positive and constructive compassion. I want you to have solution-based thoughts. And I don't want you to approach this as a mindset of, I want to change you. I want you to approach it with the mindset of, I want to understand you. I want to make your situation better. I want the placebo effect of the drug to take effect. And I want you to become happier. I want your grass to be greener. I want your highs to be higher and your lows to be higher as well. Now, how can you get them to focus on the positive? How exactly would I do that? That's an interesting one. Ask them to rate their own happiness on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, odds are they'll give you a number that's maybe it's 4. Ask them, why aren't you a 3? And then they'll begin to list the positive in their life. They'll begin to look at what they have. Maybe it's their family, maybe it's their own health, maybe it's their family's health. Maybe it's their job. They really love their job. They love what they do. Maybe it's that they have a gift, that they can play the piano really well. Maybe it's another skill that they have. Maybe they're proud of their video game abilities. I don't know, whatever it'll be. Eventually, the more you get them to talk about the positive, the more likely that they'll say, well, I guess you're right. I guess I'm really not that low. I guess I'm really a 6 or a 7. And that is what you try and aim for. Try and get that small difference every day and keep improving it. Keep going up in happiness. Keep searching for the gold in your life. I guarantee you it's there. It's always there. Now today, I have a book to endorse. This book is called The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. It is a great book. It has sold more than 5 million copies. And in this book, it is a very Christian book, so I don't know. If you don't want to read it because you're not too into Christianity, that's fine, I understand it. But if you are, I recommend picking this book up from the library, giving it a read, maybe even buying it if you like it. I don't know. It's up to you, though. I'm not saying you should buy it, but I'm recommending that you should read it. In this book, what he does with positive thinking is he tries to inspire you to expect the best and to get it, to believe in yourself and everything you do, to develop the power to reach your goals, to break the worry habit and achieve a relaxed life. That is something that we never do. It's something that I had trouble doing until I just started meditating and slowing down. Once I started meditating, it really helped me to relax, and it really puts things in perspective. But we must have a relaxed life, and this book is a great source if anyone wants to read it. I recommend you to. And it helps you to be kind to yourself, too. Compassion is really a key thing. There are a few people who really embrace the passion. Norman Vincent Peale is one of them. St. Augustine was, way back in the day, another one of them. He was the one who really promoted the concept of original sin and to be kind to ourselves. That yes, we make mistakes, but it's okay. It's not our fault. We can improve our life. It's only our fault if we don't change our behavior looking into the future. But I would like to read maybe a few quotes that he had in his book that he took from the Bible. If you have faith, nothing shall be impossible unto you. That one's in the book of Matthew 17:20. And another one that really inspired me is when he mentioned, the kingdom of God is within you. And once you realize this, you realize that maybe the kingdom of God isn't something necessarily that we get after we die. We can make it right now. Now, if you want to make hell of life, you can make hell of it. If you want to view life as perfect, if you want to view life as just absolutely wonderful, you can live in heaven. And that, I believe, is what the Bible mentions when it says, the kingdom of God is within you. But this book goes on to talk about creating your own happiness. This is the day which the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118, verse 24. And it promotes positive thinking for healing. Now, I want you to remember this. This book, it came out in 1952. That is when he wrote this book. So when he first promoted this idea that positive thinking actually can improve healing, a lot of critics just came out of the woodwork and said, "What? You're crazy. That's not right. There's no way." But nowadays we see with modern medicine that it is a real thing. With the placebo effect that I mentioned earlier, it's as real as you or me. It definitely does occur. And you know why? Because this healing, it takes place using faith. Not hope, but faith. I don't believe in hope. Hope says, well, I hope things will get better. But faith says things will get better because I will make them better. I will make my days brighter. And this is another idea that he brings up in the book. The idea of affirmations, the prayer that helps us reassure us what we're doing is working. And what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, will happen. And when you set your mind to it, telling yourself this over and over, whether it's a prayer, whether it's just a written statement that you read in the morning, it will subconsciously bring you closer to your goals. Whether your goals are happiness, whether they be financial success, no matter what they are, just telling yourself this over and over, it does make a difference. And I know this is a very abstract concept. When I first read about it, I was like, what? There's no way. That doesn't sound real. But let me assure you, it actually does work. Whether it be confirmation bias that makes it seem like it works, I don't know. It could be possible. But from my experiences, it seems like it actually does work, which is incredible. So I encourage you to read this book, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Great book, great book. Now I would like to move on to talking about the local news. I would like to invite my co-producer Daniel to come in on this conversation. So what I read in the Ordigger newspaper, this one's a fun article. The title is Ordigger Radio, We Need to Talk. And as you can guess from the title, this is starting to sound pretty negative, but I'll allow this negativity. Sometimes we need a little bit of negativity to really embrace the positivity and make us really thankful for the positivity. So I'll give you the gist of what this article is saying. So apparently the same playlist for Minds Internet Radio plays every day. And the Minds Market, which is the cafeteria here on campus, is really getting annoyed by listening to the same songs.
Understandably.
Including Judy, the wonderful woman at the front desk. She's like the grandmother of Minds. Really great. And she said, the music needs to be changed up. Seriously. And I'll read a little quote here. If it was not bad enough that Barbie Girl made it on the playlist in the first place, it plays at the same time, 7:09, every day, and it has been playing since the week before classes started. And this article was written by Daniel, might pronounce this last name wrong, Renkirk. I think that's how you pronounce it. And so, my co-producer here, Daniel, do you know the song Barbie Girl?
I do. I think it's funny that it plays at 7:09 because, as far as I can tell, no student is in there at 7:09 in the morning. It's just the workers in there. I guess Mines Market technically opens at 7, so there could be a couple people in there. But for the most part, it's just the workers hearing Barbie Girl over and over to start off their day.
See, if only that was the case. Because I'm assuming this was 7 p.m. at night when everybody eats dinner. As you can see, what the problem would be listening to this every night as you eat dinner. This Barbie Girl. You know Barbie Girl? You know Barbie Girl.
Yeah. Fortunately, I do not believe I've been in there at 7:09 at night.
Well, for all the listeners who don't know the song Barbie Girl, would you mind singing the first lyric for us? Just a little bit.
I'm not sure I know the first lyric. Why don't you give it a shot?
Oh, you're turning this around on me. I don't like that. Now it goes something like, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life is plastic. It's fantastic. You know, it's that song. Yeah. I've listened to it enough to know the song, unfortunately. Let's see, what else is in this article? I think I'll just start off by asking, so this song, why does it play every day at 7:09 in the cafeteria?
Well, let me tell you. So, the music playing in the cafeteria is not actually from Mines Internet Radio. Mines has actually hired a third party to play music in the cafeteria as well as some other places around campus like the rec center. They've created this playlist called Ordigger Radio, which plays starting at the exact same time every day and consists of the same list of songs in the exact same order.
So you're telling me if I went to the gym at 7:09 that I'd listen to Barbie Girl too? Thank God I have night classes.
I'm not sure about the gym. I don't think it's on the same playlist. It may be on a set playlist. I know I was in there one time and just as the gym was closing and I heard the song Closing Time and thought, wow, if this plays every day as the gym is closing, then people need to get a little more creative.
The irony would be pretty overwhelming.
Indeed.
The article also comes out and says that they spoke with the vice president of Mines Internet Radio. And they said basically what you just summarized. And they also went on to say, so the school is paying the man to drive us insane. Like homework was not already enough. But I have to ask, this article, it doesn't say, how much did we pay the man to have the same playlist play over and over in the cafeteria as compared to, I remember a few years ago, it used to be Pandora. I mean, it was just random music that played.
Right.
How much?
I'm actually not sure, but I can say with confidence, too much.
Too much.
Indeed.
All right, we'll have to ask the vice president of Mines Internet Radio later how much the actual number is, and so then we can just be astonished. And it also goes on to say, at 7:27, Ordigger Radio rambles off a number as part of a commercial, trying so hard to be cool, it makes Hillary Clinton look hip.
Ouch.
Do you have any comments?
Ouch. That's all I can say.
Well, it makes me feel better that it's a different thing than this radio show right now. So that at least that's a peace of mind.
Yeah, they're not broadcasting your radio show over there and then dissing it.
Oh, maybe they need to. It's Monday morning or Monday in the evening at 4 p.m., right before the lunch rush, or dinner rush, I'm sorry.
That would be good. Get all the chefs motivated.
Keep them all happy. So there are no plans to change, it kind of sounds like.
I believe that there are plans to change, or at least Minds Internet Radio has some plans to try and change this huge issue, but we're working on them still.
All right, we expect to hear back. Tell us when the problem has changed. We'll ask you again next week if anything took place.
All right. I believe any of the people dining in the cafeteria or working there could tell you if it has changed, possibly with tears of joy.
I don't stop into the cafeteria here very often, but
that's fair.
We'll listen for it. I would also like to invite any callers who would like to call in and talk about either today's topic, happiness, or the news stories that we're discussing, to call in. The phone number is 303-273-3304. Again, I'll give you that number, 303-273-3304. And we look forward to hearing your call. And in other news, I got some other news as well.
Oh, good.
I went with Pizza with the President, signed up for it, and what a great experience. If anyone is on the fence, well, they get the email and they're like, well, should I sign up for it? Maybe, I don't know. I'm encouraging you to sign up for it. It was a great experience. We talked openly about the challenge of minds, all the problems and what we would like to do to fix the problems. And he took time to talk with each one of us and get to know us, and that was really a great thing. President Johnson, I give him a thumbs up. I was impressed. And during that process, I had the opportunity to ask for more bench pressing stations and squatting stations at the Colorado School of Mines gym. Have any comments on that?
Well, considering the 2 squat stations and the 1 bench station, I'd be thankful if that change got through.
Oh, I think we all would.
No doubt.
I remember we made the suggestions to the rec center for the past couple of years. Nothing happened. I remember we told student council to look into it. Turns out they didn't have the power and the leverage to really do anything about it. And yeah, I was pretty amazed. He asked me to send him an email later and he'd forward it, and he did. So hopefully in the next coming weeks that we see some more bench pressing or squatting stations. That would be amazing.
That would be incredible.
I'm sure that would make a lot of people happier. So in other news, printed out a couple funny articles.
Oh, good.
A New York monument, a new one, just built, honors the victims of the great octopus attack that never occurred, allegedly. Have you heard of this octopus attack?
I have never heard of this octopus attack.
Giant octopus attack, not a small one.
Sorry, giant octopus attack.
So the story that they made for the statue was that the Staten Island ferry disaster was caused by a giant octopus that just kind of took the ferry and just sunk it down to the bottom of the ocean. And this man, Joseph, another name I might struggle to pronounce, Regional, spent 6 months on the project. 6 months creating the sculpture. So if you ever think your idea is too crazy, just think New York has this statue of an octopus attack that has never occurred.
Did the city fund this project?
You know, I couldn't find that detail. Nowhere did it say how much the sculpture actually cost and who paid for it.
Interesting.
I'm going to take a guess that probably some government fund paid for this. I don't know that for sure. Don't quote me on this. Maybe you could look it up for yourself. And it's a neat statue, though, but I don't know. That's a good question. But if your idea sounds crazy, Suggested anyway. You never know what could happen. Let's see, and then we have another news story. So apparently there's a surplus marijuana tax revenue of $66 million that is being collected in Colorado. Think about that, $66 million. And you know what they're spending some of it on? They're spending it in the schools to create bully prevention programs in Colorado. $2 million of that $66 million they're spending on that.
Wow.
Pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
Pretty inspirational. Luckily, it's not all of the $66 million, or else I'd feel uneasy about that. Comes out to about $40,000 per school per year.
Not bad.
So tell us, were you ever bullied as a child?
Not that I can think of.
Oh, well, that's good.
How about you?
I know that a lot of people here have, and you know, we have kind of the more nerdy kind of vibe.
That's fair.
And I don't know. I think it's a great thing to have this money go out and try and make a difference. Hopefully it will.
How do you think $40,000 of bully prevention gets spent?
That is a great question. Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe they have some guest speakers. Maybe they come up with their own programs. I'm assuming that they create their own incentives and programs. Maybe like a speak up program. I don't know. Gives teachers the training and the resources to deal with it. I know that if you ever watch the documentary Bully, you'll realize that a lot of the teachers, they just don't know how to handle a situation.
Huh. So maybe some additional training for teachers.
I would assume that's where some of the money's going.
Yeah, that would make sense.
In that documentary, it was really sad to see just all the things that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, these teachers, they see it, but they don't know how to fix the problem. They don't have the degrees in psychology to know what to do. They don't have the training. They don't have the follow-through at home. They don't know what to do. And
it's crazy.
But hopefully it goes to good use. And just out of curiosity, I looked up where the rest of the money from the marijuana tax is going. I do have a mother who works in the school system, and she's always complaining to me, but where's that money going? I thought it was going to the school system. Well, not exactly. Some of the money that was promised to the schools is going to new school construction. So it doesn't quite go into the teachers,
right.
Unfortunately. I mean, it is what it is. But where's the rest of the money going? It's going to youth prevention to get them away from drug habits. Very good cause.
The irony.
Some of the money is going to substance abuse treatments and programs. Also a good cause. And to just a public health fund. So, I mean, this money, it's not going into the pockets of some executive somewhere that we don't know. It's actually going to good causes.
That is good
as far as I could tell. So that is good news. So what would you spend the $66 million on if you had any choice? If you were the governor, what would you think about spending it on?
I like the idea of drug use prevention programs, but it also seems like that will cut that $66 million down in the future if those programs are truly effective.
But when has government ever been effective?
That's fair.
Well, I don't know. We'll see if that prediction happens. I think, though, as more states legalize it, that we'll see less and less revenue from that figure.
Yeah.
So hopefully that nobody becomes too dependent on that surplus each and every year. I don't know. We'll see what happens, though. In other news, we have a college student mowing lawns for the elderly free of charge. And I thought this was pretty cool, so I wanted to give a shout out. This is Rodney Smith Jr. in Alabama. And he is taking volunteers. And his foundation is called Raising Men Lawn Care Service. And I want you to remember the biggest impact you can have in the world is the impact that you have on other people. So, I'm going to ask my co-producer Daniel, what impact have you had on others that you are proud of in the last few years?
What impact have I had on others that I'm
Yes.
proud of?
I know this is quite
I'd
a
say-
huge question.
Yeah, it is. No warning either. I actually didn't see that question coming at all from that article.
Well, I like to derive good points and really inspire with the articles that I choose and really point
Right.
out the good that's happening. Today's news stations, they always talk about just all these terrible things that are happening, all these murders, all these events. And the truth is that that's not all that common. And even you could argue that just them bringing it up creates a system that promotes violence and causes more violence to take place.
Huh.
That is a valid argument. So I like to focus on the good. And the college student mowing lawns for the elderly, free of charge. He's not taking any money for
That's
this.
incredible.
I thought it was pretty inspiring.
All right, so I'd say the biggest. How did you word your question? The biggest impact?
The biggest impact that you have had on somebody else in the past 6 months.
I'd
or
say
maybe a couple of years. We'll be generous.
All right, awesome. I'd say the biggest impact. Let's see. So for my junior and senior year of high school, I worked with this program called Young Life Capernaum, which is a Christian organization specifically for kids with special needs and mental disabilities.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. And we met pretty much once every couple of weeks, and we would just mostly just eat dinner with these kids and hang out with them. And it was phenomenal just being able to be there with them.
Oh, that sounds pretty wonderful.
Yeah. And so then in my summer after junior year and the summer after my senior year, I actually took these kids to a week-long camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you really paid it forward.
Yeah. It was incredible.
Oh, that's good. Wow. That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Are you still in the program?
No, because that program was back in Texas, and I am no longer in Texas.
Maybe you could call Rodney Smith Jr. and tell him that you would like to expand the service to Colorado and
Maybe
find some lawns to mow.
I'll just ring him up. You have his number there?
Oh, I don't have his number. That would have been a great one to have, but no. But the foundation, you could probably Google it and find it, is called Raising Men Lawn Care Service. So
Do they have some sort of secondary motive of making people better through getting them to do free manual labor?
I think it's just the philosophy and instilling it in people that it's good to give back. And the impact that you have on others is what we leave behind.
That's
That is what lasts. The money, it won't last. I mean, just the impact that you have, though. It is what's important.
For sure.
And in other news, we have, this one's a pretty funny one. The Anti-Defamation League declares Peep the Frog a hate symbol in some instances. Not every instance, but some.
I had heard about that.
That is quite the funny story. I can't say I've ever seen Peep the Frog, the meme, used in an offensive way.
Yeah, I can't think of any meme with him I've seen that would cause me to think that he's a hate symbol, or any meme with like hate towards certain groups or whatever.
I don't know. I think if you just give it enough time, people will say everything's a hate symbol these days, and
I'm sure.
they're looking at the small negative instead of all the positive and happiness that some people are brought by Peep the Frog.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of memes about Peep the Frog. Great, funny meme.
I've seen enough memes in my time to say that the positives outweighed any negatives I've seen.
Oh, that's good. And lastly on my list of news for this week, the FBI director, James Comey, claims his agents aren't weasels.
You would hope he's saying that.
This was on CNN, and I don't like CNN, honestly. I prefer getting my news from other sources, but I saw this article, and it's like, oh, this is too good to pass up. I have to point this out. And he wants to remind you that we at the FBI are honest people. So I'm not going to say anything one way or another. I'm going to let the audience decide how to interpret this. I just think it's funny that there's an article pointing this out that came out in the last week.
I would just say I'd be worried if he ever stopped claiming that his agents weren't weasels.
Really? Why is that?
Because if he stopped trying to say that his agents were good people, then it kind of seems like he'd just be giving in to that his agents were bad, and like so bad that he can't even cover for them anymore.
That would be another perspective on things. I don't know. I'm just going to let the audience decide how to interpret this funny news article title and the story, and
Very well.
let them decide what to make of it, good or bad. It's up to you. I'm going to try and remain politically neutral if possible. And with that, I would like to conclude today's show. The next show is at Monday at 4, and the topic will be... That's a good question. I haven't really thought about the topic. Let's choose free will. That's a fun topic to discuss from a philosophy standpoint. Next topic will be free will. If you missed any episodes or would like to hear them again, you can find them on YouTube. The channel name is Motivated Mike. Stay wise, my friends. Motivated Mike, out.